Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something quite personal and powerful.
Yeah.
We have this incredible story, basically a case study that one of our listeners shared with us. It's just fascinating how it weaves together, you know, life events, family stuff, and these really deep spiritual ideas about cause and effect.
Absolutely. And our source here is this amazing audio recording. It's very raw, very real. This person's life, their family history, and these huge questions they're grappling with about destiny, about karma.
It really is quite something.
Yeah. And our goal today, our mission, is to kind of unpack the insights hidden in this story. We really want to focus on how things people did, maybe intentions they had, even way back, can echo through time and, well, shape what's happening right now. Hopefully it brings some clarity for the listener who shared it and maybe for everyone listening too.
Okay, great. Let's dive in. So we start with the main person here, the daughter, and her spiritual journey. It kicks off back in 1996. She starts going to Wat Phra Dhammakaya, which is a big Buddhist temple in Thailand. But interestingly, she does it in secret at first. She was actually afraid her husband wouldn't approve.
Which takes some courage, right? Going against the grain like that, even privately.
For sure. And this wasn't just a fleeting thing. Her commitment grew, like, really steadily over the next 6, 7 years, right up to 2004. She hit this point where she felt life had to be more than just, work, kids, the daily grind. So she fully committed. She even got a Dharma satellite dish installed at home.
Which is a pretty big step.
Totally. And the surprising part, her husband, who she says was, like, good, kind, maybe handsome too,
Huh?
he didn't object at all.
Mm-hmm. And what's really interesting in her telling is how she saw this direct link between her increased devotion and, well, her work life improving. She
Yeah.
says she started working fewer days but was actually earning more money. And she absolutely believed this was down to making merit.
Wow. So a direct cause and effect in her mind.
Mhm.
Fewer hours, more income, tied to spiritual practice.
That's how she perceived it, yeah. It really highlights that principle, doesn't it? Action, result, even across different parts of life.
It does. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to her wanting a family. This was another big thing for her. She'd been married for 3 years, but they hadn't been able to conceive. So in 1997, she travels up to northern Thailand. She's visiting temples, praying really hard for a child.
Putting that intention out there very strongly.
Exactly. And then, about a month later, something pretty mystical happens. She has this dream. She sees the Emerald Buddha, very famous, and also Luang Por Butharakam from Phayao, one of the temples she'd visited. And, well, wouldn't you know it, she gets pregnant with her first daughter soon after.
It's quite a story. And the birth itself wasn't straightforward either, was it?
Not at all. It was a C-section. And she says the anesthesia just didn't work properly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But while she was sedated, she had this incredibly vivid vision. She saw Luang Pu Sod, the founder of the Dhammakaya meditation method, and Guru Yai, the abbess, in this clear crystal ball.
Luang Pu Sod, a really major figure.
Right. And she said right after that vision faded, she heard the baby cry for the first time.
What an entrance into the world.
Seriously. But then things took another worrying turn. When the baby was just a week old, she got really sick. Severe jaundice. It became critical.
Oh, no.
Yeah, terrifying. The mother was distraught, just crying and praying to Luang Pu Sod again. And then after the baby was put in an incubator, she recovered really quickly. The mother was absolutely convinced Luang Pu Sod had stepped in.
And from the analysis in the account, it seems Luang Pu Sod did offer some help there. It connects back to the daughter's karma, which was apparently minor in this case, things like killing small animals, maybe baby mice, in a past life.
So the karma was there, but intervention was possible because it wasn't, like, overwhelming.
Something like that, yes. It shows that interaction between past actions and present help.
Okay, let's move on. A year later, she gets pregnant again. This time, no specific prayers involved, but the pregnancy felt different. She was having these really disturbing bad dreams. And this was also a tough time for them financially. A lot of stress.
Right, a different context for this pregnancy.
Definitely. And then came a truly devastating decision. When the second daughter was only 2 months old, they decided to put her in a nursery so the mother could go back to work. Her own grandmother warned against it, said the baby was too young.
Oof. That's tough. Hindsight, you know.
Yeah. And just hours later, literally hours into the first day, they get that call.
Right.
The worst possible call. Their daughter was critically ill.
And the outcome,
Yeah.
just heartbreaking. She was found blue. The official cause given was SID, sudden infant death syndrome, on her very first day there.
Unimaginable.
It is.
Yeah.
And the karmic explanation provided in this account is, well, it's incredibly stark and specific. It suggests that in a past life, this second daughter had been a chief wife who intentionally killed her co-wife's baby by suffocation. And that exact karma is said to have ripened in this life, leading to her own sudden death in a way that mirrors the past action, instantaneously. Because the death was instant, the account says she was reborn immediately somewhere else. Which also meant, tragically, she wasn't actually there, in a sense, to receive the merit her mother later offered for her.
That is incredibly precise and chilling. And the impact on the mother, she was just consumed by grief, fell into this deep depression, even had suicidal thoughts. She withdrew so much that her first daughter started having speech delays.
Just waves of suffering spreading out.
Exactly. But why did the mother herself suffer so intensely? Those bad dreams during the pregnancy, the overwhelming grief. What was her connection?
This is where another layer of karma comes in, according to the account. It's linked to something called anumadana bapa, basically, approving of sin or taking delight in wrongdoing. In that same past life where the second daughter, as the chief wife killed the baby, the current mother, our storyteller, was actually the chief wife's mother. And she apparently knew about the plan and approved of it.
Wow. So her role wasn't direct action, but complicity.
Exactly. And that approval, that mental participation in the harmful act, created the karma for her to experience the pain of loss, the bad dreams, all the associated suffering in this lifetime. It's a sobering reminder about even mental agreement with harm.
That makes a frightening amount of sense, karmically speaking. And the first daughter's speech delay, was that connected to the mother's grief?
Interestingly, no, according to this analysis. The speech delay was linked to the first daughter's own minor karma, specifically from consuming alcohol in a past life, not the mother's reduced care during that difficult time.
Okay, so separate karmic threads even there. The aftermath of the second daughter's death just kept getting more bizarre and awful, didn't it? The husband sues the nursery, initial autopsy says SIDs, but then a second expert finds no internal organs.
It's almost unbelievable. And then the DNA test confirms the organs they were given weren't hers.
Just horrific. And the body itself, held for a year during the legal fight, then lost, decomposed in a hospital freezer that got unplugged.
Yes. Ending up as an unidentified body in a cemetery in Saraburi with no proper Buddhist rites.
What could possibly explain that part? The fate of the physical body.
Again, the account points directly back to that original act of intentional killing in the past life. It's presented as a direct consequence, a karmic reflection of the severity and nature of that past action, manifesting even in the postmortem treatment of the body. The lack of respect for the body, mirroring the past disregard for life.
It's just layer upon layer of consequence. So after all this trauma, the mother makes another big decision. Tubal ligation reversal. She's hoping her second daughter might be reborn to her. That's the motivation.
A deep longing for connection, for continuation, despite the pain.
And she also makes a vow, this time to Luang Korsoadhorn, another very revered Buddha image. She promises that if she has another child, she'll dedicate them to Buddhism.
Putting that strong intention out again.
But still, she doesn't conceive naturally.
So she moves towards artificial insemination. But she doesn't just rely on the medical side. She combines it with intense meditation, with prayer. And she describes this moment after a really deep meditation, mind still, body light, where she just knew she was pregnant.
Wow. Connecting the spiritual and physical.
Exactly. Feeling that alignment.
But then the news comes. It's a boy. And initially, she's disappointed, right? Because she was hoping for her daughter to return. She even cried. But then that sadness shifted. She became happy, thinking, okay, a son can be ordained, carry on the tradition.
Finding a positive path forward within her faith.
And now that son is 2 years old. And she says he loves chanting already.
A little seed planted there.
Yeah. Okay, let's zoom out a bit now and look at her parents. Their story has its own set of questions, like, why did they never own property? Always renting their whole lives, even with 10 kids. That seems unusual.
It does. And the karmic explanation given is quite direct. Past stinginess. Specifically, never making merit related to like land or permanent structures, buildings.
So a lack of generosity in that specific area created a block.
That's the idea presented, yes. That specific karmic pattern prevented them from acquiring property this time around.
But then on the flip side, they had these incredibly loving, dutiful children.
Yeah.
Where did that good fortune come from?
Well, that's linked to a different kind of merit. The account attributes it to the merit they gain from taking really good care of their own parents in a previous life.
Filial piety paying off, essentially.
Precisely. Positive actions in family relationships yielding positive family relationships later.
Okay. And what about them raising two of their grandkids from their eldest daughter as their own, treating them just like their own children?
Yeah, that's interesting. The explanation isn't about paying back a debt or anything negative. It's framed more as a reflection of their genuine, deep love for children. Maybe stemming from past lives in, say, farming communities where big families were the norm, and they just had this affinity, this real joy in raising kids.
So it's reflecting a positive inclination, not a burden.
Exactly. Karma reflecting deep-seated joys and affinities, too.
Now, the father's health crisis. That sounds incredibly dramatic.
Mm.
August 2005, severe blood infection. He's delirious. And he starts seeing international ghosts, from everywhere, speaking different languages.
Yeah, that's a striking detail, especially because, as the account notes, he'd spent his whole life basically not believing in any of this stuff, karma, heaven, hell, and he was known to be, well, quite stingy, too.
A complete skeptic facing something supernatural.
Right. And then comes this crucial moment. The daughter, our narrator, her brother, and their eighth sister, they all get together and pray really intensely. For him to survive, yes, but also specifically for him to gain faith.
They prayed for a change of heart.
They did. And the result, according to the story, was astonishing. He recovers really quickly, and boom, instant transformation. He suddenly believes in ghosts, merit, heaven, hell, all of it, becomes eager to make merit himself. He even mentions seeing ghosts asking for blessings as he was leaving the hospital.
Whoa, so were those ghosts real? What was that vision?
According to the interpretation given, yes, those ghosts were real. And they represented his katinimita. That's a Buddhist term for the death sign or vision that appears just before death, indicating where you're headed next.
So if he had died then?
That vision showed his likely destination based on his past actions and state of mind. His survival and his complete change of perspective are attributed directly to the power of his children's prayers and their shared merit.
That's incredible, the power of collective intention.
A really strong example of it, yes.
Okay, let's shift back to the daughter's relationship with her husband. It sounds quite strained, particularly around the temple. He's resistant, even to the point of throwing and breaking an image of Luang Pu Sat. That sounds serious.
It is serious, very serious.
She describes him as hot-tempered, stubborn, someone who doesn't bow to anyone.
Right, and the analysis suggests his resistance comes from lacking what's called Kalyana Mitra, good spiritual friends, or positive guidance. Even though, interestingly, it says he does have seeds of goodness in him.
So potential, but misguided or lacking support.
Something like that. But the act of breaking the image of Luang Pu Sat, that's highlighted as extremely grave. Luang Pu Sat is considered a highly realized, compassionate being. Damaging his image incurs immense negative karma. The potential consequences mentioned are severe rebirth in lower realms, maybe even physical deformities in future lives. It underscores the weight of actions towards figures of high spiritual attainment.
That sounds terrifyingly severe. How can someone even begin to fix something like that, especially if they're stubborn, as described? I mean, how do you seek forgiveness?
It's a really important question. The path laid out requires genuine effort and a real change of heart. First, he needs to sincerely seek forgiveness from Luang Pu Sat, not literally perhaps, but through deep remorse in his heart. Then, importantly, the advice is to commission a new statue, replacing what he damaged. And beyond that, it's about a total dedication to making merit, generosity, upholding morality strictly, and practicing meditation, really aiming for that state of inner purity, the Dhammakaya state.
So massive positive action is needed to counteract the negative.
Immense positive action, yes. Sincere repentance coupled with sustained effort can mitigate past negativity, but the intention behind the original harmful act still carries significant weight. Karma is precise, but there's always a path to make amends, spiritually speaking.
Right, it's about actively changing course. Okay, let's circle back to the children for a moment. The first daughter conceived after those vows at different temples. Who exactly was she? And did a specific Buddha grant the wish? And is making vows like that generally a good idea?
Okay, the explanation given is that the first daughter was what's called a Fumatewa, an earth-dwelling deity or spirit connected to the area around that Phayao temple the mother visited. This deity was essentially attracted by the mother's strong vows. However, the teaching emphasizes that actually making merit, generosity, morality, meditation, is more powerful than just making vows.
How so?
Because high levels of merit tend to attract higher-level beings, maybe from celestial realms like Jashita heaven, Vows, on the other hand, often attract more local, lower-level deities like this Fumatewa, so merit brings higher connections than vows alone.
Got it. Merit over vows for attracting higher beings. Now, the youngest son, he came after the vow to Luangkursodhorn. Was he also a deity drawn by the vow?
Yes, similar situation, according to the account. He's also described as a Fumatewa from near Luangpur Sodhorn's temple. Apparently, the head deity of that area assigned him to be born there in response to the mother's vow.
Okay. And the vow included dedicating him to Buddhism. Will he be ordained? Is it, like, sinful if he decides not to later on?
The crucial thing now is for the mother to nurture his faith from a young age. He absolutely can be ordained, but whether he does and for how long depends on his own merit from the past and the support he gets now. It's not considered sinful if he chooses a different path, but the account strongly suggests it would be highly beneficial for his spiritual progress if he does ordain. The emphasis is on encouragement, not compulsion.
Nurturing over forcing. Makes sense. Let's tackle the core issue between the husband and wife again, their different views on the temple. What karma brought them together if they're so different on this key issue? And what's the recommended approach?
Well, as we touched on, his resistance is put down to lacking that good spiritual guidance, the Kalyana Mitra, despite having good potential. But significantly, the account reassures the daughter that they were married in past lives and shared deep love. That's the karmic connection that brought them together again.
So there's a history there, a foundation.
Exactly. And her role now is seen as becoming his Kalyana Mitra, guiding him not through argument, but through her own example. The advice is patience, kindness, keeping a smile, maintaining equanimity even when he's resistant. This steady, positive influence is seen as the most effective way to gently guide him.
Be the change you want to see,
In
essentially.
a very direct, personal way, yes.
What about her idea of observing the 8 precepts, the stricter moral code lifelong, and telling her husband he should just find a new wife?
Observing the 8 precepts is certainly meritorious, but the advice about telling him to find someone else is quite cautionary. The account warns that, repeatedly saying that will likely cause her more suffering in the long run, especially if he were to actually take her up on it. The recommendation is to focus on cultivating peace and harmony within the existing marriage with a calm heart. Work with what's there.
Right. Don't invite more trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, one last detail. The C-sections. All 3 births were C-sections. Plus, she had the tubal ligation reversal surgery. Is there a karmic link there, too?
Yes, that's also linked back to past karma, specifically the karma of killing animals for food. Actions causing harm or cutting related to other beings manifesting as cutting or intervention related to her own body, particularly around birth.
Wow. Specific again.
Very. Though it's also acknowledged that C-sections are a common, safe medical practice now, which can lessen the severity of that karmic result compared to, say, historical times.
Okay. So, wrapping up the karmic picture of this family, what about their overall connection to the spiritual community, their mukana? Are they destined to stay together, practice together in the future?
The account suggests they have supported the community in the past, acting as supply lines, providing resources and help. But their connection hasn't been constant. It's described as intermittent over many eons.
So, sometimes together, sometimes drifting apart.
Exactly. So the advice given is quite profound. They should dedicate themselves fully, consistently to all forms of merit, generosity, morality, meditation, and importantly, make a strong aspiration, a prayer to be part of the special circle of bodhisattvas.
Those enlightened beings who help others.
Right. By aiming for that high spiritual goal together, they can forge an unbreakable bond and ensure they don't get separated across future lifetimes. It's about consciously building that shared destiny through shared high intention and practice.
What a journey. This deep dive, it's really just laid bare how incredibly interconnected everything is, hasn't it? Karma, our intentions, our spiritual practices, things like owning property, family dynamics, how children are born, how people die. This story shows it's all part of this huge, intricate pattern of cause and effect. Our actions, big and small, really do seem to shape our reality in ways we might not even imagine.
It definitely makes you think. And perhaps a final thought for everyone listening. If actions we might see as small or things we've long forgotten can ripple out with such significant consequences across lifetimes, well, what habits, what beliefs maybe deep down inside you might be shaping your life, your destiny, in ways you haven't even considered?
That's a powerful question to sit with. It really invites reflection on, the power we have through our intentions, the value of gaining spiritual wisdom, and just how much transformation is possible when we start to understand this complex web of cause and effect in our own lives.